What if your life isn't stuck? It's just echoing a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. You've probably felt it. That heaviness, like you're walking through water, like no matter what you try, something invisible keeps pulling you back. And maybe you've blamed yourself, told yourself you're lazy, undisciplined, unlucky. But here's the truth no one told you. You're not broken. You're just tuned into a reality that's expired, a frequency that doesn't match your becoming. And every time you try to move forward, that outdated timeline pulls you in like a gravitational field, because timelines are not just events, they're emotional signatures. They're states of being you keep returning to, not because you want to, but because your nervous system still thinks it's safe there. So if you feel like life keeps looping, if you keep attracting the same pain in new disguises, if your dreams always feel just one step out of reach, it's not because you're failing. It's because you haven't shifted timelines yet. And in this moment, not tomorrow, not after another book, not after another healing, but right now, you have the power to step out of the script you've been reliving and into a field of possibility that's already written in your energy. Because energy remembers, and your highest timeline, it's already looking for you. In this video, we're going to trace the invisible loops that have held you in place. We'll uncover the subtle ways your energy has been feeding the very version of reality you're trying to escape. We'll reveal the quantum mechanics behind how timelines collapse and reconfigure, not through effort, but through resonance. And most importantly, I'll guide you through simple, grounded practices to help you tune into a timeline where your life doesn't just look different, it feels like truth. Now we go deeper. We'll explore why no matter how much you try to change, life keeps pulling you back into the same emotional episode. It's not sabotage, it's a loop, and I'll show you how to step out of it. The invisible loop. Why you keep repeating what you don't want. You tell yourself you're moving forward, you set intentions, you visualize, you even start to feel a shift. But then, something pulls you back. Like an invisible rope around your chest, tightening just when you begin to breathe freely. And suddenly, you're living the same old emotions in a slightly different story. Have you ever wondered why the same kind of relationship keeps finding you? Why the same money blocks keep showing up even when you feel better? Why your growth seems to vanish the moment you let your guard down? This isn't coincidence. This is a loop. Not in your life, but in your frequency. Your body holds memories that your mind has already outgrown. And it's those emotional memories, those old energetic patterns, that keep collapsing the same version of reality in front of you. Because while your consciousness wants evolution, your vibration is still rehearsing survival. You're not lazy. You're not failing. You're just energetically loyal to a version of yourself that no longer fits your vision. Let me explain. Your timeline isn't defined by time. It's defined by the version of you that you keep being, even unconsciously. If the dominant emotional signature you carry is fear or lack or waiting, then the quantum field responds with more reasons to feel exactly that. This is why you keep meeting familiar people in unfamiliar bodies. Why you shift environments, but the emotional script feels like déjà vu, because you're not in a new chapter, you're just flipping the same page. But what if the most powerful shift wasn't in changing your actions, but in collapsing the vibrational identity that's holding your place in that loop? Here's the process. First, name the loop you keep living, not with shame, but with clarity. Give it a label: scarcity, repetition, delay, doubt. Let it be seen, because what's seen can finally dissolve. Second, close your eyes and ask, what emotion does this loop feed on? Whatever arises, that's the vibration keeping the loop alive. And third, breathe deeply into your chest and say, that version of me did what it could, but I'm choosing something else now. Feel that. Let it echo. Because sometimes the first way to shift a timeline is simply to stop pretending you haven't outgrown the one you're in. In the next section, we go even deeper. We'll uncover how tiny, unconscious emotional patterns, the ones you don't even notice, have been anchoring you into dense frequencies. And how to stop feeding a version of life that doesn't feed you back. Beware the frequency you keep feeding unconsciously. Some loops aren't built by trauma, they're built by repetition. Tiny, silent repetitions of thoughts you didn't question, emotions you brushed off, patterns you labeled normal. You say you're ready for change, but what about that whisper in the back of your mind that says, it always goes wrong anyway? Or the sigh when something good happens, followed by, let's see how long this lasts. It's not your words that shape reality. It's the emotion behind your habits, and most of the time, that emotion is invisible. You feed it in the way you expect delays. You reinforce it when you brace for rejection. You anchor it in each time you repeat stories like, people always leave, money doesn't stay, nothing ever lasts. These aren't just sentences. They're vibrational codes, and the quantum field reads them perfectly. Let me be clear, the universe isn't punishing you, it's mirroring you, and what you unconsciously repeat becomes the tuning fork for your timeline. So here's something practical. For the next 24 hours, become the observer, not of your behavior, but of your inner radio station. What do you broadcast when no one's watching? What's your emotional baseline? That low-level disappointment, that unspoken frustration, that quiet belief that you have to fight to receive, that's the frequency you're feeding. And as long as it stays active, you'll keep waking up in timelines that feel too small, too heavy, too familiar. But there's power in awareness. You don't need to fix it all at once. You just need to interrupt the signal. Here's the process. Every time you catch yourself repeating an old belief, pause. Even for a second, place a hand on your heart and say, that's not my truth anymore. I release this version of me. It may sound simple, but energetic detachment begins with recognition. Because what you feed, feeds you back. Let's go even deeper. In the next section, we'll explore what quantum physics has been saying all along. That reality isn't solid. It's a frequency. And when you understand this, you'll realize your life isn't something to change, it's something to tune. The quantum truth. Your reality is a frequency, not a fact. What if everything you believe to be real is just a pattern you've collapsed into shape? You've heard it before, everything is energy, but let's make it practical. Let's go beyond the quote and into the mechanism. At the most fundamental level, your life is not fixed, it's fluid. It's built moment by moment through emotional resonance, belief, and observation. According to quantum physics, reality exists as a wave, pure potential, until it's observed. And what is observation? It's more than looking. It's feeling. It's believing. It's expecting. Your emotional state is what collapses that wave into something solid, something that looks like your job, your relationship, your bank account, your reflection in the mirror. So if you've been saying this is just the way things are, you're not describing reality, you're defining it and reinforcing the very frequency that built it. Think of it like this. There are hundreds of radio stations playing right now. You just can't hear them unless you tune in. Your dream life, your healed self, the version of you that feels safe, aligned, abundant, it's not far. It's already broadcasting. You're just not dialed in yet. But the moment you start feeling differently, the moment your emotions begin to shift from familiar suffering to grounded possibility, you start tuning into a new signal. And when that happens, what you call miracles are just matches between your new frequency and that already existing timeline. This isn't magic, it's mechanics. And the quantum field doesn't need time, it needs clarity. Here's the process. Ask yourself, what would it feel like to live in the version of my life that already works? Not the perfect version, not the fantasy, Just the version where your nervous system is calm, your choices feel clear, and you trust your own timing. Sit in that emotion, breathe in that version. Let your body believe it before your eyes see it, because your frequency is the seed, and what you call reality is just the fruit it grows. Let's go further. I'll walk you through a powerful method, a technique to collapse the timeline you no longer want and realign with the one your soul has been waiting for. It's not about force, it's about frequency alignment. And the shift starts from within. The reality collapse technique to exit the stuck state. Sometimes it's not enough to recognize the loop, you have to collapse it. You have to unplug your energy from the version of life that's been draining you, the version built on scarcity, repetition, or survival, and re-anchor into the timeline that reflects the you that's already shifting. But how do you do that? Let me walk you through it. This is a three-step process. It's not a ritual, it's not a trick, it's a frequency reset. Step 1. Name your current timeline. Don't generalize it. Speak it clearly. I've been living in a timeline of fear, or repetition, or delay, or not enough. This step matters because clarity collapses confusion, and when you name a vibration, you become bigger than it. Step 2. Emotionally detach. Close your eyes. Take a breath into the center of your chest. Visualize that version of your life as a fading photograph. See the colors draining. Feel your body leaning back, not running, not resisting, just releasing. This step is not about denial. It's about energetic boundary. Because sometimes the thing that holds you there is the emotional loyalty to how things were. Step 3. Declare the new timeline. Say it out loud, not as a hope, but as a knowing. Something like, I now enter my timeline of truth, or I now walk in alignment with what supports my expansion. And as you say it, do something physical. Raise your hand, open your chest, place a palm over your heart. Let your body believe what your voice just claimed. Because your nervous system needs more than words. It needs symbols. It needs movement. It needs to feel that this is not just a thought, it's a decision. And what happens next? Most people report an immediate shift, a lightness, new ideas, sudden clarity. Sometimes synchronicities follow, not because the universe just woke up, but because you finally tuned into a field that was always trying to reach you. And remember, you can use this technique anytime, in moments of relapse. In moments of doubt, when you feel pulled back into the old. This isn't a one-time event, it's a vibrational practice, because timelines don't respond to what you want, they respond to what you embody. Now let's go even deeper. We'll explore why most people fail to shift their life. Not because they lack intention, but because they try to change the timeline while holding on to the same identity. And your identity is the doorway to everything. Invisible mistake, wanting to change your life without changing your identity. There's a moment in every journey where you realize you're asking for a new life while still embodying the version of you who created the old one. It's not a flaw. It's a misunderstanding. You've been taught to change your habits, to visualize, to affirm. But what if none of that truly works? Until your inner identity aligns with the future you're calling. You can't keep one foot in the new timeline and the other in the beliefs of the old one. And yet, most people try. They ask for expansion while holding on to an identity rooted in lack. They call in love while still vibrating as someone who fears abandonment. They affirm abundance while silently expecting the rug to be pulled out again. And that contradiction, that emotional split, is what keeps them locked in place. Let me explain this clearly. The quantum field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to the frequency of who is saying them. If your declarations come from a version of you that doesn't believe they're worthy, or that expects disappointment, or that still thinks reality must be earned through struggle, then that's the you the field listens to. And so, nothing changes. Not because you didn't try hard enough, but because you didn't dissolve the version of yourself who doesn't belong in the next chapter. Here's what's rarely taught. Every timeline has its own identity holder. It's not just about new experiences. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally receives them. So here's the practice. Close your eyes and ask yourself, who is the version of me that already lives in the timeline I desire? Don't just imagine their job or relationship. Feel their posture. Sense how they breathe. Notice how they respond to life, what they no longer tolerate, what they effortlessly attract. Now, dress in that energy, even if the outside doesn't match yet. Even if your current life tries to remind you of what's real, because the field doesn't wait for confirmation, it waits for embodiment. Think of it like this. You don't show up to the party in your pajamas hoping to be let in. You wear the outfit that matches the energy of where you're going. You choose the vibration before the invitation arrives. Let that land. Let's move deeper still. Because even when people begin to shift identities, they often get caught in another trap. Emotional reruns, old reactions dressed in new situations. And if you've ever felt like life keeps repeating itself, even after you've changed, there's a deeper layer to uncover. Mind model. You're re-watching the same vibrational episode. Sometimes it's not your life that's stuck. It's your perception. You're not reliving the same experience. You're reliving the same emotional interpretation of it. Let that sink in. You move to a new city, but the same sense of isolation follows you. You start a new relationship, but somehow you brace for abandonment anyway. You finally get the job. But the anxiety of not enough still wakes up with you. It feels like life is repeating itself. But in truth, it's your nervous system pressing replay on a vibrational episode you never learned how to stop watching. Here's what most people don't realize. Your subconscious seeks familiarity, not truth, not joy, not freedom, but patterns it knows how to survive. Even if that pattern is disappointment, even if that emotion is fear, even if it hurts, it's predictable, and your body has learned to call that safe. This is why so many transformations feel temporary. Because the new timeline gets overpowered by the pull of emotional memory, the field changes, but the viewer doesn't. So the same emotional plot plays out, just with different names and faces. Here's the process. Whenever you feel yourself slipping into a familiar emotional reaction, stop, not with force, but with awareness. Breathe in. Place your hand over your stomach. Whisper to yourself, this is just a rerun. I don't need to watch it again. Let that whisper interrupt the pattern. Because that pause, that one conscious breath, is enough to change the frequency of your entire episode. And here's something deeper. Most of the time, your current suffering isn't even about the present. It's a ghost, a remnant of a previous pain your body didn't know how to process. So it keeps recreating scenes, hoping you'll finally choose differently. This isn't punishment, it's invitation. So if life keeps repeating itself, ask, what is this trying to get me to finally feel and release? Because the same pattern isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to be dissolved. Now we move from theory to embodiment. Because in the next chapter, I'm going to tell you a true story. A moment of quiet but radical shift that reveals what can happen when you change your field without changing anything outside. It's not what you expect, and yet it's exactly what you've been sensing is possible. Real story, how she changed timelines without changing anything outside. She didn't win the lottery, she didn't meet her soulmate, she didn't move to Bali or quit her job or post about living her best life. In fact, from the outside, nothing changed. But inside, everything shifted. She had spent years living in scarcity, not just financial but emotional. Every time something good approached, she braced. Every time someone stayed, she prepared for goodbye. Every month ended with exhaustion, resentment, and the quiet ache of, is this really it? And then something happened. But it wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it was silent. One night, she sat in her car after work, the same job, the same street, the same story. But this time, instead of numbing out or blaming herself, she put her hand over her chest, closed her eyes and said, "This can't be all there is. And if I've created this, I can uncreate it." That was the first ripple. She didn't force anything, she didn't chase. She just began shifting her field, quietly but consistently. Each morning, before opening her eyes, she whispered a different story, not about things or outcomes, but about who she was becoming. She practiced gratitude, not as a performance, but as a sensation. She gave thanks for sensations, the weight of her blanket, the rhythm of her breath, the silence between cars passing outside, and she started choosing silence. Not as withdrawal, but as recalibration. Within a few weeks, things around her began to respond. She got a message from someone about a job she hadn't applied for. She noticed she wasn't attracted to the same draining conversations. She smiled at strangers without fear of rejection. None of this was magic, it was resonance. Her internal frequency became incompatible with the timeline she used to live in, and so it gently released her. That's what alignment does. It doesn't beg. It doesn't demand. It simply stops fitting the reality that once seemed unchangeable. And that's what's available to you too, not through effort, not through proof, but through quiet, devoted return to your true vibration. Now, before we enter the final core of this journey, take a breath with me. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you. It means something inside you recognizes this truth. This isn't just content, it's remembering. If this story touched something in you, if you've ever lived in a loop you couldn't explain or shifted your life from the inside out, share it in the comments. Not just for you, but for others who may need that mirror right now. Your story might unlock someone else's timeline. Just now, we'll uncover something that most people ignore, yet it holds the quietest, most underestimated power to transform your entire life field. It's not movement, it's not hustle, it's silence. Why silence is the most underrated key to timeline shifting. Most people try to force their way into a new life. They affirm louder, they visualize harder, they chase signs, fix their thoughts, demand clarity. But what if what you truly needed wasn't more noise? What if the shift happens in the space between? In the quantum field, silence isn't absence, it's invitation, a stillness where energy reconfigures, a pause where the old dissolves and the new has room to emerge. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for threats, familiar pain, and emotional tension. It reacts faster than your thoughts, and the mind tries to override it with logic. But healing doesn't come from understanding, it comes from regulation. And that regulation begins in silence. Let me paint this clearly. When you sit in stillness, hand on your chest, eyes closed, no performance, just breath, you're doing something most people avoid their entire lives. You're creating vibrational space. Space that tells the field, I'm ready to receive, not repeat. Because the field doesn't respond to urgency, it responds to coherence. Here's what to try. Each day, just once. Pause for 7 minutes. No music, no phone, no intention to fix. Just sit with yourself. Feel the space around your body. Let your breath move like a tide. Place a hand over your heart if that helps anchor you. And as the silence stretches, you'll begin to notice something subtle. Your body softens, the grip of yesterday loosens, and in that opening, a new version of you becomes accessible. This isn't emptiness, it's quantum fertility, because silence isn't the absence of something, it's the presence of everything unspoken, everything waiting, everything real. And when you commit to meeting yourself in that stillness, you send a message through the field that says, I no longer need chaos to feel alive. That alone changes timelines. You've reached a sacred point in this journey. This video was never meant to just teach. It was designed to transform, and if you're still here, your energy has already shifted. Thank you for walking this far with me. Take a moment now. If this message resonated with you, let us know in the comments. Have you ever experienced the shift that comes in silence? Your words could be the mirror someone else needs today. Now, we bring it all together. Everything we've touched, the loops, the frequency, the collapse, the silence, leads to one truth, and it's time to remember it. You're not stuck, you're just on the wrong timeline, and now you remember how to shift. That version of you who doubted, delayed, diminished their own light, that was never your truth. It was just the frequency you were tuned into, and frequency can be changed. Every new reality begins with one subtle but radical act. Choosing to no longer identify with the version of yourself that life conditioned you to be. Not as rebellion, but as remembrance. Because deep down, you already know. You weren't born for repetition. You weren't designed to loop. You are evolution, in motion. And here's what no one tells you. You don't have to wait for external permission to align with your new timeline. You don't need a sign. You don't need a miracle. You just need to feel the new frequency. Breathe it. Choose it. Again and again, until it becomes more familiar than the past you kept surviving. This path isn't linear. Some days you'll feel the shift like lightning, other days it will feel like fog. But in both, you are moving. Because every time you pause the old pattern, every time you soften into awareness, every time you speak as your future self would, the field listens. You are not at the mercy of the external world. You are the field that reshapes what responds to you. So today, and every day forward, ask yourself, what timeline am I choosing with my energy? And choose with love, with patience, with coherence. Thank you. Thank you for being here, for staying until the end. For walking this path, not just with your mind, but with your heart. This isn't just a video, it's a portal. And you step through. If this journey resonated with you, tell us, comment below. Let us know what part opened something inside you. Share this message with someone who may be living in a loop they can't yet name. And if you felt this shift, leave your anchor in the field by commenting, I choose my new timeline now. Your words carry frequency, and they echo in places you can't yet see. If this message touched something real in you, subscribe to the channel. This is just the beginning. There's so much more ahead. More remembrance, more alignment, more awakening. Watch the next video that's appearing for you now. It's not random. It's your field leading you deeper. Welcome to Echoes of the Path. You're not alone here. You're home. And remember, the reality begins where your old pattern ends. What you feel is trying to teach you what you forgot. Your energy is a language, and the universe listens. You don't have to fight what you feel, you just need to decode it. You are not at the mercy of the world, you are the field that transforms what vibrates around you. We'll see you in the next shift.